same time, we are very aware that we have cultural influences, even from the Western colonization or the Chinese traditions. We are aware that all these influence us in the way that we dress. But at the same time, we are also aware that we are very careful. We should be very careful to impose our ideas of dressing, our practices of dressing on people. But our emphasis is always on appropriateness of dressing, right? In today's passage, we did not read through everything, the 3 chapters, and there are very elaborate details and descriptions of the priest dressing. And yesterday, at the youth meeting, Ernest painstakingly designed the whole priesthood dress for us. Let me show you the design. And it's very difficult. And Ernest managed to do it. Appropriateness, huh? Then, and that was his model. Yeah. But in actual case, it doesn't look like this. It looks more like this. Yeah. A bit different. Normally, when we do our own devotion, our own quiet time, when we come to these 3 chapters, or chapters of this sort, these 3 chapters, chapter 28, 29, 30, we will most of the time skip through, and we will not focus too much on it. And there are a lot of details of the cubits and the measurements and all. But I want to suggest to you that these passages has a lot of relevance for us personally, each one of us, more than we can imagine. Let us examine who are these priests and how can this be actually relevant to us. And I titled the first part as Can the Real Priest Please Stand Up? Let's pray, shall we? Father, we thank you for your precious word. We know it is your word inspired by your Holy Spirit to give it to us, that we may know you, we know your great love for us. Open our eyes, Lord, as we open up Exodus this morning. Open our eyes to see wondrous truth. And open also our hearts, that we can embrace your truth in our hearts. And we pray and we plead that, Lord, your Holy Spirit bring these as deep convictions into our lives. And work in our hearts. And we pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Who are the real priests? Well, there are some wrong ideas of priesthood in our whole church history. So, for example, in a traditional Roman Catholic Church or even our traditional Protestant churches, we have this view that we're thinking that priests are the ordained ministers. It's a wrong idea. Or some Christians may think that priests are the church gurus, some high gurus, or some holier believers. But this is not what the priests are all about. How do you know? Well, take a look at Exodus chapter 19 and verse 6. I read for you here. It says, "And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." And these are the words that you shall speak to the people of Israel. Which means all Israelites come together, they become a kingdom of priests. So, having that in mind, then we ask ourselves over here, why then are there this process of ordination for priests over here, right for us, in these 3 chapters? Well, to understand this, we must take a look at chapter 29, verse 42 to 46, which Elder Jonas helped us to read just now. Let me read for you again to remind us. But begin with verse 42, speaking to the priest first. He said, "And you shall be a regular burnt offering throughout your generations at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, where I meet with you, where God meets with the priest." But you see the next verse, verse 43. "There I will meet with the people of Israel." Okay? He was meeting the priest, and he said meeting the people of Israel. "And it shall be sanctified by my glory. I shall consecrate the tent of meeting and altar Aaron and his sons I will consecrate to serve me as priests. And I will dwell among them, the people of Israel, and will be their God, and they will know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out of Egypt, and I might dwell among them. I am the Lord their God." Well, over here, we begin to understand something that God is explaining to the people of Israel. And I show this by a diagram over here. This is God, the holy God that they have. And to enter into God's presence, well, we know that the priests represent God's people entering into God's presence, or God, where God meets with them. So the priest represents God's people in God said, as I meet you, I'm like meeting the people of Israel. Meeting of people of Israel, and I will dwell among them. So meeting God signifies the presence of God among his people, and say, then I will be your God, and you shall be my people. So it also signifies that the Israelite people have this covenantal relationship with this God, creator of heaven and earth, this holy God. And in the wider context of this passage, or in Exodus, you actually have a third circle, which is to draw. In doing so, they are supposed to draw. They're supposed to draw all nations, other nations, to God as a kingdom of priests. That's their role. You see, as a priest, draw the people to God. As a nation, they are drawing all other nations into the presence of God as well. That's what they're supposed to do. And we know of this whole idea carried forward in the New Testament. Let me show you a verse, very familiar verse to all of us in 1 Peter chapter 2. And Peter was writing to the church of God. And what does he say there? He said, but you, the church, are the holy, chosen race, the royal priesthood, the holy nation, a people of his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. It's the same idea. It's the same idea. They are the holy nation, the priesthood, and they proclaim to other people, the non-believers, the Gentiles, the excellency of God, drawing them to see the excellency of God who called them out of darkness into his marvelous light. Can you see the whole picture today? So who are the priests? We ask ourselves. And the answer is, all believers are the priests. So turn to your neighbor and tell them, hey, do you know you are a priest? And the neighbor must turn back and says, hey, you also are. Okay, we are all priests. So, leaders of the church, elders, pastors, bishop, whatever we are, definitely no higher priests and no holier people. We are at best, supposed to set a good example for the rest of the church. And the more mature Christians are supposed to set examples for the younger Christians, newer Christians. Parents are supposed to set examples for the children. We are no holier people, definitely not. And at best, we are only examples for them, leading them, guiding them, pointing them to Jesus, to God himself. And as a church, God's people, we are pointing our relatives, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues who do not know Jesus, we are pointing them to Jesus. That's the role as priests. And how shall we dress? How shall the priest dress? Our whole chapter 28 have very great details of how a priest should dress. And I entitled this chapter 28 as More Than Dressing Right. There are many details to the pieces of this garment here, and we do not have time to talk about all the significance of it, but I'm going to focus on just two. But before we talk about just this, focus on these pieces of the garment here, we need to understand the principle of reading Old Testament. Take note, one, when we look at Old Testament, the principle is when we look at the physical things, places, people of the Old Testament, it points to Jesus in the New Testament. And in turn, when it points to us in the New Testament believers, it refers or signifies spiritual things. So the principle is when you look at the physical things, physical places, physical articles, and all this in the Old Testament, it points to Christ, and in turn points to the New Testament believers as spiritual things, spiritual significance. Well, it would be wrong, I put here, wrong ways to look at it is to take the physical things of the Old Testament and directly apply to us physically. For example, when we look at Abraham, Abraham is very rich, isn't it? Therefore, some believers say, therefore Christians must be rich. Because Abraham is physically rich, so we must be physically rich. Then if that's the case, then in this room, not many of us are Christian, except Elder Gregory, who has gotten his CPF. The rest of us still don't know money. So cannot. So wrong way. Or we look at the description of David in the Old Testament. So David is handsome. So therefore Christian must be handsome. Right? So in this room, I think the only Christian is nobody. Okay, that's wrong. This is the wrong way. Yeah? Okay, but the other dangerous way is this. It's seemingly right, but it's actually wrong. Is we take half and we apply half. We take half of them, some to be spiritual and some to be physical. You know, for example, offering of bulls and killing of rams. They say, Singapore cannot, like, you never kill animal, then SPC will look after you. This one must be spiritual. Okay, well, how about anointing oil? Not possible, possible anointing oil. So we say, this one can be applied straight away in physical form. So people go around selling anointing oil, applying anointing oil to everybody. Then we begin to ask, which one is physical and which one is spiritual, and who decides? It's up to the whims and fancy of the readers. No, it is not. So therefore, as you look at the physical dressings of the priests today in this passage, they have some spiritual significance for us. We're not just looking at the physical dressing. It's more than dressing right. Okay, and so therefore, when we read the Old Testament, the key principle or key question we ask ourselves is, what is the spiritual principle in Christ for us? So when we look at these passages here, what is the spiritual principle in Christ for us? Let's examine closely. First, we look at this. You see a small picture over there. Okay. There's a shoulder piece and a breast piece. Okay, the shoulder piece, let me read for you in verse 28, verse 12. We're going to skip all the details. I'll just focus on some of them. 28, verse 12, it says, "And you shall set 2 stones on the shoulder pieces of the ephod, as a stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel, and Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord on the 2 shoulders for remembrance." So there are 2 stones here, precious stone, onyx stones with 6 names of Israelites on each side. And what is the significance of it? It says, bear God's people's name before the Lord on their shoulders. And the next piece, the breast piece. The breast piece is more complicated. Okay, you can see in the picture here, there are 12 precious stones. Okay, chapter 28, verse 29 to 30. Let me read for you. If you can follow me in the scripture. 28, verse 29 to 30, it says, "And so Aaron shall bear the names of the son of Israel, the breastpiece of judgment, on his heart, when he goes into the presence, when he goes into the holy place, to bring them to regular remembrance before the Lord. And the breastpiece of judgment you shall put on Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be Aaron's heart, when he goes in before the Lord. Thus Aaron shall bear the judgment of the people of Israel on his heart before the Lord regularly." So, what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to judge the affairs of the people of Israel on their heart. On their heart. Okay, and these 2 words, to bear and to judge, actually appears earlier in Exodus chapter 18. If you remember, it was Moses trying to judge the people and to bear the burdens of the people. Chapter 18, verse 22, it says, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, telling you, why are you bearing? You should share the loads of bearing the loads of the Israelites. And chapter 18, verse 16, Moses was trying to judge the people. Judge the people. So these 2 words have been used earlier in chapter 18. So, priests, therefore, was supposed to bear the burden of God's people, just like Moses did, and hold their affairs, their judgment, in his heart. It's not just dressing right. It's not just dressing right. So the principle over here, I put here as to bear the burden of God's people and to care for them with the whole heart. With the whole heart. This is the role of the priest, to bear the burden of God's people and to care for them with the whole heart in every affairs that they're going through, the judgment that is supposed to pass. It's more than just dressing right. And we see some echoes of this in the New Testament. Example, I will give you 3. Galatians chapter 6, verse 3. It says here, bear one another's burden. So when people are in crisis, or people are suffering, or people fall into sin, to bear one another's burden. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15, it says, speak to one another, speak the truth to one another in love. So it's like a practicing of judgment. When you see someone doing right or doing wrong, you are speaking the truth to them in love. Romans chapter 12, verse 10. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love, just like a priest holding them in your heart. So when you see someone falling into gossip, sexual sins, or wastage of their time and their resources, you will speak to them, you bear their burdens, and you love them like your own brother. That's what a priest is supposed to do. More than dressing right, they're supposed to bear each other's burden in the heart. Not just merely focus on the outward appearance, but to see whether they are spiritually okay. Then more than that, one more role that the priest is supposed to do. I'm just going to skip the pieces. I'm going to tell you what are the practices they are supposed to do in chapter 30, verse 7 to 8. They're supposed to burn the incense for the people as well. The priest is supposed to burn the incense. Let me read for you chapter 30, verse 7 to 8. If you have the Bible open, you can look at it also. And say, and Aaron shall burn fragrant incense on it every morning. Every morning. It's an everyday affair. When he dresses the lamb, he shall burn it. And when Aaron set up the lamps at twilight, he shall burn it. So in the morning, in the evening, regular incense offering before the Lord throughout your generation. So what is the significance of these burning incense? There are a few passages. I'm just going to give you two examples of it. Psalms 141 verse 2, Revelation chapter 8 verse 4. The significance of these burning incense in the scripture always refers to prayer. Prayer. So the priests are supposed to bear God's people's burden on their shoulder, and more than that, because they care so much for the people, they will earnestly pray for them. They will storm into the Holy of Holies before the mercy seat of God and plead on their behalf. That's what they're supposed to do. More than just dressing right, they are dressed with a sincere care and love for one another. And this is what they are supposed to do. And because of time, we are going to skip the golden crown and turban. Okay, you can ask the people in my Friday IDG. For example, you can ask Adrian. He was there, right? So later he will explain everything in detail for you. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we're going to skip this. But we're going to ask ourselves, the next question is, am I fit? Are we fit to be priest? Am I really fit to be priest? It's a legitimate question. Because on Friday night when we meet together, when we read through the clothing pieces, the ceremony, the rituals that they're supposed to go through, the food they are supposed to eat, some of us were like, I can never be a priest. It's so difficult to be a priest, so difficult to meet God's standard of holiness. Because this is what the priest is supposed to do. The priests are meeting the holy God of Israel. And I cited a few verses, 28 verse 30, 29 verse 42, 30 verse 6, all emphasizing that they are meeting up with God. They will be presented before the Lord. And this whole idea of meeting God presented before Him appears more than 20 times in these three chapters. Well, then we ask ourselves, what is really required of a priest to come before God? I put there perfect holy status. Chapter 29 verse 34 says, because you are holy. That's the requirement of a priest. Holiness. And the word holiness appears almost 30 times. Holy or holiness appears 30 times in these three chapters. What is required of a priest is to obtain this status of sinlessness, to be in perfect holy status. And therefore, that's what they are required to do. For example, the bull offering, which is chapter 29 verse 14 tells us this is a sin offering. Because they are not perfect, their sins need to be taken out. So the bull is brought before the priest, and the priests are supposed to put their hands on top of the bull's head. What does it represent? It's showing that this bull represents the priest. And all the sins that these priests have committed in their life are all represented by this bull. And they will slaughter the bull because sin required death. For the wages of sin is death. Every soul that sin must die. This is what Ezekiel said. So, and this whole process is also called atonement. In chapter 30, which should be a process of atonement. And to obtain holiness and the sinless state so that they can approach this holy God. And every year, one time, they have this day of atonement. The priests, before they represent the people of Israel, for 7 days, you can take a look at chapter 30. For 7 days, every day, morning and evening, they have to kill a lamb. In the morning they kill a lamb, evening they kill them, morning they kill them, evening they kill them for 7 days for the priests themselves, so that they can, and chapter 30 verse 19 to 20 said, and they must wash themselves, their hands and their legs clean, so that they will not die. So they must be clean inside, clean outside. It's a very stringent requirement for the priest to meet the God of Israel, the holy God of Israel. What is required of a priest? Holy, perfect holy status. But more than that, it's not just a perfect holy status. Second part I show you is represented by the offering of the ram. There's a perfect holy living. The offering of the ram, 2 rams in chapter 29, 2 rams, is signifying that not just the bulls is the status, the ram, offering up every part of the ram, they are supposed to have a perfect holy living as well. And it's called the soothing or the pleasing aroma to God. You can see that in chapter 29, verse 18, verse 25, the soothing or pleasing aroma to God. And the whole idea of soothing aroma to God is found in, you can look up in the New Testament, Ephesians 5, when they are supposed to walk in love with one another, and that's a fragrant aroma. When the Philippines church contribute financially to the gospel work, that is also called a fragrant or soothing aroma to the Lord. And I put that it really means a dedicated life of service to God, just like the ram. Every part of the ram is offered up in smoke to the Lord, entrails and everything else. And that's what they're supposed to do. It signifies that they are supposed to serve God with the whole entire being. The time, the gifts, the resources, the energy. So it's not just a perfect status for the priest, but a perfect holy living as well. And this is done through them loving their neighbors as themselves, done through them living godly lives and killing sins in their life, done through serving God. And for us, we're serving God at school, at work, in our society, our neighborhood, in church. So we ask ourselves, am I fit to be a priest? And the natural answer will be, no. We are not fit to be priests in the first place. We fail God, isn't it? We fail God and we sin against Him. Not only that we are not sinless, but many times we find that our lives are not even surrendered to serve Him. We withhold many things back for ourselves. This part is mine, this time is mine, this money is mine. So we hold many things from God. And we fail Him as priests. Do you think we can meet this holy God? But thanks be to God, because He Himself graciously provided a better high priest. In the passage that Derek has read for us in our pastoral prayer, I want you to refer to that in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 11 to 12. In the pastoral prayer, it said there that we have a better high priest. Christ appeared as a high priest for the good things to come, through the greater and more perfect hand, not made of hands, that is not of this creation. He entered once and for all into the holy places, not by means of the blood of goats and calf, by the means of His own blood, thus securing an eternal redemption for us. By His own blood, He paid for your failures and my failures. He paid for your sins and my sins. He is the once and for all sin offering, and once and for all atonement made for us. But I want us to look at the next 2 verses in Hebrews chapter 9, 13 and 14. I have it on the screen for you. May I read for you. Even more things that He gave. He said, if the blood of the goat and bull and the sprinkling of defiled person with the ashes of heifer sanctified for the purification of flesh, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered Himself without blemish to God, purify our conscience from dead work to serve the living God? 2 more things, 2 understanding, well, at least we must take from this verse, understanding the role of Jesus' high priesthood. 1 is that He purifies our conscience. He gives us that perfect holy status. Whatever we fail, we hold our resources, unwillingness to serve, our sins of falling to our conscience, to give us a perfect status, and as a result of that, even more, that we can serve God. We are now able, we are now qualified to serve God, so that we may serve the living God. A perfect, holy living is now possible for us through Jesus' high priesthood. But some of us may be sitting there and thinking, yeah, I believe in Jesus, but I still fall in sin and temptation. And I know myself, many times I'm still unwilling to serve God and serve others. I know all the unlovedness, the lack of love inside my heart. Yes, Jesus knows that too. He knows that we are weak. And therefore, He Himself will empower us with His Holy Spirit so that we can live out this holiness. Because without the Holy Spirit, whatever we try to do will be futile. We will not be able to do it. And we cannot do without the Holy Spirit, God the Holy Spirit. It is just like anointing oil. In chapter 30, in Exodus, verse 22 to 23, you don't have to read it, but there's a whole understanding of anointing oil, that everything needs to be anointed, because there could be nothing can be done without it, without anointing oil. Every furniture needs to be anointed with this anointing oil. They cannot do without it. Every priest needs to be anointed with this anointing oil. They cannot do without it. And the significance of this anointing oil is that they utterly need the anointing of God. And the anointing of God in the Old Testament and the New Testament always linked to the anointing of the Holy Spirit. The significance of it is God will give us the help of the Holy Spirit. For example, in Acts chapter 10, the anointing of Jesus Himself when He's here on earth. Let me read for you. You see how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit, and therefore with power. And He went about doing good. He's able to serve God and heal all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with Him. When Jesus was here 2,000 years ago, He was utterly dependent on the Holy Spirit to serve God and to do the business, to do the work that God has placed in His hand. And now Jesus Himself, as we believe in Him, also anoint us with His Holy Spirit. Let me show you from 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 21 to 22. I said, and it is God who established us with you in Christ and has anointed us. God anointed us through Christ. He anointed us and has put His seal on us and given us His Holy Spirit in our heart as a guarantee. Can you see? The anointing and the Spirit are inseparable. It's always linked together in the Old Testament and the New Testament. So we are utterly dependent on the Holy Spirit to live a holy life, to serve God in the first place. And how do we draw this anointing, this empowerment from the Holy Spirit? So I have the Holy Spirit, I still fall. But how do we draw the power from the Holy Spirit? Well, we always use the sword that He gave us, the sword of the Spirit, and we always pray in the Spirit. We always pray in the Spirit by word and prayer, because the sword, the word is the Spirit's sword, and we also encourage to pray in the Spirit in Ephesians 6, right? So, what does it mean for us? There are a few applications. 3 that I can think of. 1, you can be God's priest. That means you can actually meet the holy God of Israel, God of heaven and earth, and you can have a loving, covenantal relationship with God. And God can be a personal God like He was to Israelites. And now you can become part of His kingdom of priests. Yes, in our unholiness, in our uncleanness, in our sin, we are not able to approach God. And in all our personal and our own effort of offering any kind of sacrifices to God, we are always unclean. In our own effort of holiness, we will always be imperfect. Never able to meet God's standard. You try all your religious activity, come to church, put all the money into offering, you cannot meet God's standard. You cannot. But thanks be to Him that He has provided us with the high priest, the real high priest, the perfect high priest in Jesus, who paid for the penalty of our sin. He washed our conscience clean. Like He gave us brand new sheet of paper to begin with again, to stand before God. He removed our guilt, and He now anointed us with His Holy Spirit that we can now learn to serve Him with our whole entire life. This is possible. And if this is not true of you yet, and you have not put your faith in Jesus, and you want to do it, you can say a prayer like this. You can talk to God and say, "Dear God, my sins have separated me from you, who made me, who cares for me, and is so patient with me. Please forgive me, and thank you for providing Jesus as a real high priest to pay for my sins, and to bring me back to your loving kingdom of priests. I believe in Jesus, who died and rose again for me, and I want to surrender my whole life to serve Him, and serve you and serve Jesus as my loving King. Please give me your Holy Spirit and help me." You pray something along this line, you can do that, and you can become God's priest or kingdom of priests. For the rest of the believers, the second application is for us. Put on your priestly garment. You are all priests. Your shoulder piece and your breastpiece. Put on. The principle behind this is to bear one another's burden and to care for each other with a sincere heart. So what shall we do? Gather on Sunday. When we gather on Sunday, it is more than trying to listen to the good sermon and enjoying some uplifting songs. It's more than that. It's more than that. If not, if you want to do just that, you stay at home with a good Wi-Fi, good speaker, you can enjoy all these things. You don't have to gather. But when we gather, it's more than that. Not less than that, but it's more than that. What do we do? I suggest to you, come on time when you are on duty. Come on time when you are not on duty. As you come on time, we are actually encouraging one another too. Right? We are encouraging one another that, yeah, this is meeting with you, meeting with God's people is important. Second, sit with and talk to people who are alone, who are always sitting by themselves, who are shy. Sit with and talk to people who are new. Sit with and talk to the children and the youth. They help them understand they are part of the priesthood of family too, the community. Talk to them, because we understand it is always about one another. The Christian faith is a personal faith, but the Christian faith is never an individualistic faith. Understand that? The Christian faith is a personal faith. I putting my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. But the Christian faith was never an individualistic faith. Talk to the new people. Put on your priestly garments. Bear and hold each other in our hearts. Second, what can we do? Talk deep. Ask good questions at the branch fellowship. We should do that. Ask them good questions like, how was your week? Or you can ask them questions like, hey, how did it speak to you in the sermon today? Ask them questions. Or you ask a question, talk to another person and says, can you keep me accountable? Because after listening to the sermon or to the message, my application is this. Can you keep me accountable that I want to apply it this way? Talk deep. Talk deep. Because we are always one another in our heart. Wear your priestly garments. Speak the truth in love. Not just on the weekday, on a Sunday, meet on the weekdays as well. Don't restrict merely to Sundays. Okay, meet with one another during weekdays. Maybe one-to-one or in small group to pray together or have a meal together, share your life. If you're working near each other in the workplace, just try to contact me over lunch. Before you go home, maybe meet for dinner before you head home. Meet together, read the book together, or do your prayer time together with one another. Or do visitation, we know like Brother General, Elder Gregory, on weekdays sometimes they go to the hospitals and visit those who are in the hospital. Do this. Hold one another in our heart. Commit out, if on weekdays, commit to your weekday IDG, your weekday groups, small groups. Commit to it. If you do not have, join one or start one. Wear your priestly garments to care and love one another with a brotherly. That's what we're supposed to do as priests. Next, burn your incense. The principle behind burning incense is prayer. That you care for each other so much that you stomp into the Holy of Holies, kneel before this seat of mercy and plead for one another. That's your role as a priest. I don't know how you're going to do it, so I'm going to share with you. This is how I do it. You may not and you need not follow me, but this is just an example. Can you see this box here? I have this box in my office. What is this box? Poor cha. No, that's not it. Okay, what I do is I take the birthday list in our church, every one of them with 100 of us. I cut all their names up into their strips, name by name. Then I write my relatives' name inside there. I write also the names of the people I'm trying to reach out to, some important people in my life. I put that inside there. No, what I do is I take, every day I come office, I pick up 5 names, individual names. I pick up their names and I pray for you. I pray for every one of us. So I know that by 1 month time, I will cover the whole church of 100 people. And that includes the CF people. You know, by 1 month time, I'll cover everybody. Imagine if we have about 80 of us here, we do that for the 100 people, including CF people. Every day we pray for 5 names. That means every person walking into this place will be prayed for in a month by 80 people. Every month. If we do that, 80 of us just pick up this habit to pray for everyone. But in 1 month's time, every one of us will be prayed for 80 times in a month. Do you think there will be a real revival in our church? Burn your incense. I don't know how you're going to do it. You do it your own way. You don't have to follow my style, my method. You don't have to buy one whole box at least. But when we genuinely and sincerely care for one another as a kingdom of priests, it not only signifies that we are God's people and He is in our midst here, the watching world will be attracted to Him as well. Remember, there's a role of the priest. So I put here, may we, TCEPC, will be Dongchai English Priesthood Community, TCEPC. And it's a lame acronym, but may this be true of us. Shall we pray together? We thank you, Lord, for purchasing us as your citizens, but also as a holy nation and a royal priesthood, that we become your people representing you here on earth. Not individually only, but also as a community of people. We thank you for this privilege, and we know it is bought by the blood of our Lord Jesus, and He died for us on the cross and give us this privilege and also this high responsibility. Help us by the power of the Spirit to live as priests, a royal priesthood for you. We pray this in Jesus' name.
Next, those